Research and recording of Canadian creepies happens on the shared land and traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. A key treaty governing this territory is the Dish with One Spoon Agreement. The treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee people binds them to share and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, settlers, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. We all share the responsibility of ensuring the dish is never empty, meaning we must take care of the land and the creatures we share it with.
Welcome back, creepers, to Canadian Creepies.
Well, creepies for the true crime.
I'm Valerie.
I'm Mallory.
And today we're diving into the final part of our 3-part series on the École Polytechnique Massacre, one of the most devastating events in Canadian history.
Part 3.
Part 3.
Or trois.
Yeah, trois. In this episode, we'll take a closer look at the chilling contents of Marc Le Pen's suicide letter, a document that attempts to justify his unimaginable actions while providing disturbing insight into his mindset. We'll also explore the broader search for rationale, what drove him to commit such an atrocity, and how have scholars, psychologists, and the public tried to make sense of it all.
Excellent.
Finally, we'll examine the legacy and lasting impact of this tragedy, from the fierce debates about gun control and violence against women to the controversies surrounding how this event is remembered and discussed today. We'll unpack how this dark chapter continues to shape conversations in Canada and beyond. This is an intense and important episode, so settle in as we uncover the layers of complexity behind this haunting case.
And go back 2 episodes if you want to start from the very beginning.
Yes.
Because you'll be lost if you... Well, not lost, but you'll just be... You'll be behind.
Yeah.
You want to be...
You want the context.
Present. Yeah.
You want it all. You want to be along for the ride and where we are. You want to be on our level.
Yeah.
Also, before we get started, I do just want to give a shout out to our listener, Pam, who wrote in.
Yeah, Pam, thanks so much. That's amazing.
I'm going to read what she said.
She was so sweet.
She's so sweet. Yeah. She said, had my first listen and truly enjoyed. I would love to hear your take on a case that has fascinated me since I was very young. My parents had the book Torso on their bookshelf, which told the story. It both terrified and fascinated me. It is the story of Evelyn Dick and the murder of her husband from Hamilton. It is centered around Hamilton in the 1940s. And then she said, have a fabulous day. And for those of you who don't know, episode 4, we did cover Evelyn Dick.
And that awesome song.
Yeah, with that punk band from Hamilton.
Yeah, it was so good.
Mrs. Evelyn Dick.
Exactly.
She took the saw, she got off his legs. She took the saw,
It's so good.
Yeah, so episode 4. And thank you so much for writing in, Pam. We loved hearing from you.
Torso just sounds terrifying.
It does. And my mom also commented, I remember that book.
Oh my God. Okay, I was like, why does that sound so terrifying? You know what I just watched, like maybe, I want to say a month ago, and it was absolutely terrifying?
What?
Tusk.
Always do sober what you do drunk. That'll teach you to keep your mouth shut.
Hemingway said that.
Yes, he did. And he said it to me.
I don't want you to go to Canada tomorrow.
It's for the podcast. It's what I do. I travel around and I interview weird or interesting people.
So look out, you crazy Canucks!
Wandering Wallace takes a raunchy road trip up to the Great White North.
Hello. I'm an old man who has enjoyed a long and storied life at sea. And after eons of oceanic adventure, I know I do not wish to spend my remaining years alone while I have such stories to share.
How far is Bifrost from here?
It's about 2 hours from here.
It's about 2 hours away.
I hate American guys.
Good evening.
It's nice to meet you.
Could I interest you in some tea?
So what happened after the boat sank?
I was alone, and then something very swift and frightening moved by me.
A walrus saved your life?
The walrus is far more evolved than any man I've heard of. Present company included.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you
There. It'll be all right, Mr. Tusk.
He hasn't called me in 3 days. I'm worried.
Why are you doing this?
Are you really mourning your humanity? I don't understand. Who in the hell would want to be human?
I'm so scared. This guy wants to turn me into an animal or something. I don't want to die in Canada.
Oh, I saw that movie years ago, and it changed my DNA. I was so scared of it.
Yes, is that not Justin Long?
Yeah, it's Justin Long.
Oh, it is Justin Long.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I had seen previews of it for years, and I was just like, no, not my cup of tea, not my cup of tea. And then I finally was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna watch it. I watched it alone.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You didn't even have anyone to talk about it with.
No, and I just felt very different after, and I just felt very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I laughed, but I felt sad, and I felt very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like you have to remind yourself that it isn't real.
Yeah, and I officially finished Smile 2. It took me also a month to finish that. Last night we finished it.
The movie?
Yeah, the movie Smile 2. It's just, if you want to go through a trip, watch it. If you don't want to go through a trip of it's almost like you're on acid or something.
Oh my god, we should watch Smile too.
It's very
I'm sober.
Gory and I'm sober. It's crazy. Anyways,
we watched Long Legs.
Okay,
but I fell asleep, so I can't comment.
We were gonna watch that last night, but I was like, I don't really know. I've heard that it's kind of like the movie Hereditary, which was really, really good, but I just didn't know if I was in the mood for a very film-esque.
Yeah,
film.
It was very film-esque.
Okay.
Nicolas Cage was kind of
he's
creepy
in that.
looking in it.
He's always you know what? I gotta love the guy. I hate him and love him. I don't know. He's not the best actor, but I feel like Jake loves Lord of War. Which is a
have not seen it.
Oh, watch that one. That would hit you politically.
There are over 550 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's one firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we arm the other 11?
The new Uzi machine pistol. Big firepower in a small package.
What do you know about guns? I know which end I'd rather be on.
Can you bring me the gun of Rambo?
Part 1, 2, or 3. The real money's in actual wars. How many car salesmen talk about their work? Their products kill more people every year than mine. At least mine has a safety switch. Damn, you look good.
Would be happy to make you happy.
New traffic arms.
Trade.
Always in the wrong place at the right time.
No one can stop this path of blood.
There is nothing illegal about what I do.
I don't care if it's legal.
They say evil prevails when good men fail to act. What they ought to say is, evil prevails.
It's a great one.
Hit you in the political chest.
And he's a great actor in that. And his brother in it is 30 Seconds to Mars. Is that the...
Jared Leto?
Jared Leto.
Oh.
Yeah, he's in it too. Young Jared Leto.
Lord of War.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah.
We'll put it on the list.
Put it on the friggin' list.
I've always thought this is an idea I've always wanted to do, because there's always so many people who are like, you should watch this, you should watch this, you should watch this. I've wanted to get a jar for the living room with a little notepad next to it, and then you just write whatever it is down, put it in the jar, and then when you don't know what to watch, you just pull something out of the jar.
Let's start that, and I'm going to write Mac and Me.
Yes,
even though
we need to watch
seen,
that. Yeah.
If you think there's a shortage of family fare on video, never fear, cause Mac and Me is here. When an alien family takes an unexpected trip to Earth,
Creature from outer space.
little Mac is all alone until he finds a new family.
It's Eric's friend, Ma, the one he's been trying to tell us about. They caught him in a vacuum cleaner.
The government wants to catch you, Mac.
It's here.
So it's up to Eric to save his little alien buddy.
I won't let anybody hurt you.
Mac and Me.
There he is!
A movie where you can enjoy the thrill of an escape. Or the tender warmth of a family reunion unlike any you have ever seen. Mac and Me. You're sure to fall for the movie that tells the sweet story of a boy and his friend coming to video stores from Orion Home Video.
My brother watched it and he sent it to me, and I was like, oh my God, Mac and Me.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. He's like, yeah, he's such a little devil. He's just always into mischief. And I'm like, yeah, he was so cute.
Yeah, he's
and it's kind of sad too.
Yeah. I do remember, I feel like that came out, it was like a niche.
We were not even born when it came out, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Oh, wait, no, maybe you're right.
I thought it was 2008.
Well, maybe Mac and Me? I don't know.
Or is it 80 something?
I thought it was 88 or...
Somebody listening to this who loves Mac and Me is screaming at us right now.
1988.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking of a different movie.
Yeah. Also...
but I have seen that one.
Yeah, he's so uncomfortable looking. He makes me feel uncomfortable as well, but in a cute way.
You're uncomfortably cute.
Yeah, uncomfortably cute. Exactly, yeah.
All right, should we get into it?
Let's get into it.
On the day of the massacre, Mark wrote 3 letters.
Okay.
2 were sent to friends, and 1 was found in the pocket of his jacket.
Okay.
Okay. And?
Uh-huh.
The police revealed some details from the suicide letter in the days after the attack, but did not disclose the full text. But we do have the full text that I will read at some point.
I'm intrigued.
The media filed an access to information case to compel the police to release the suicide letter, but was unsuccessful. And just for those of you who don't know, the Access to Information Act is a Canadian act providing the right of access to information under the control of a federal government institution. So you can access things, you can access documents, it is our right to do so, but you have to, under the Access to Information Act, but there are forms and stuff you have to fill out.
Okay. Oh, to access
said information.
Okay.
Freedom of information laws allow access by the general public to data held by national governments where applicable by state or provincial and local governments. So basically what I just said.
Right.
As of 2020, the act allowed people who pay $5 to request an array of federal files.
$5?
$5, and you can request
Take
anything
my money.
you want. Yeah. I'll pay $15.
I'd pay $15.
Paragraph 2 of the act, entitled Purpose, declares that government information should be available to the public, but with necessary exceptions to the right of access that should be limited and specific, and that decisions on the disclosure of government information should be reviewed independently of government, which is cool.
I actually just, I have someone, a friend that's going through something terrible with, I just, an ex-partner. They have a child, so that there's all these legal things going on.
Yeah.
And I learned about the Freedom of Information Act, but it's so you go through the, I guess us would be OPP, NDP, and you can, I bet you have to go downtown to the courts and request it, but you can get all the legal information of any report that's been made to the police. They summarize it all and give you a file folder, but I don't know if you have to.
Is it about a specific person?
It's about said partner. It's about if you had an ex that was just giving you so many issues, calling making your life very difficult, and the cops were involved a number of times, there would be reports made on multiple occasions, and so you would
you can access that information.
Freedom of Information Act or something. And I was just shouldn't
you already have a copy of that though?
Just not a copy. They the police make
incident reports numbers. Incident report numbers?
Maybe. I
guess in a time of crisis, you don't think to ask that.
but I guess they do a good job at I just didn't know that certain things like this exist.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, wild.
I was aware, but it's in
I don't have kids also.
Yeah. But it's in what regard do you it's on a Wednesday, I'm not just going to go, if I don't have any motive, or if I'm not doing specific research, I'm not just going to go try and access federal files.
Federal files.
It's not really a fun
I bet you
hobby.
people, there's got to be
bet people do.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely, if you are a federal file hobbyist, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what Canadian federal files you have recently pulled.
Have you seen the guys? Sorry, one more thing.
Please continue.
Have you seen the guys that like they film themselves? Not themselves, but they have a camera and they go around in like public settings and they'll film a building, knowing that someone's going to come out and be like, can I just ask what you're filming? And he's like, you can't ask me that. You can't. And he just tries to like prove the law. Like if cops come over and they're like, you're kind of making these people feel uncomfortable. He's like, well, it's a public, like they're antagonizing. Have you ever seen that? Like,
no, that sounds like it would be absolutely infuriating to me.
It's extremely infuriating. And they're like law. They obviously know their stuff, but they're doing it for purposes that aren't, you're just trying to stir the
rile
pot.
people
yeah,
up.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's always going to be people who, what'd they say in Batman, want to watch the world burn.
And you can just tell the cops and business owners are like, okay, exactly. There was
a local guy who has passed away, and he used to do that. His videos are probably still on YouTube. Like he wasn't like our cup of tea kind of guy. Like he wasn't our jam, but he would like go and disrupt city council meetings, like because it was his civil right and civic duty.
Yes.
And you're just delaying governmental processes, and also this is municipal government. You're delaying here, sir. Like,
it's the same type of people that when a cop is like, roll your window down, and they'll do it a smidge, and they're like, we don't need to.
Yeah, and like,
I refuse to answer these questions. I don't have to answer.
I plead the fifth.
And the cop's like, this is a traffic stop, man. Like, come on.
Have you or have you not been drinking?
I don't have to answer that. And he's like, well, come on.
I guess you don't. But
honey, I won't be home for a while. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
A year after the attacks, a 3-page statement was leaked to journalist and feminist Francine Pelletier.
Okay.
She's a journalist based out of Montreal. She founded the feminist newspaper Le Vie en Rose and has written for Le Presse, Le Devoir, and the Montreal Gazette.
Good for her.
Right?
Yeah.
If anything about the story, I'm really trying to highlight all the badass. This is a tragedy, but I'm really trying to pull out all the badass women involved in this.
I think that's why
massacre.
I was so upset last episode. All these badass women just taken,
just plucked out
carelessly.
So sad.
Yeah.
So, okay. The 3-page statement was leaked to Francine. This 3-page statement contained a list of 19 Quebec women who Mark had labeled as radical feminists and had intended to kill.
Excuse me. That was like came up my tongue. I'm drinking tea.
Yeah, it's delicious. The list included Pelletier herself, plus a union leader, a politician, a TV figure, and 6 police officers who Mark knew from their playing together on an amateur volleyball team. So he was like he wrote a kill list. He wrote a kill list of strong women, strong, brave, wonderful women. The
Written
letter
by a very weak man.
Yes, exactly. With a very small penis.
Yeah.
The letter, without the list of women, was subsequently published in Le Presse, where Pelletier was a columnist. So eventually that leaked 3-page letter did get published, but without the list of women.
Okay.
In the leaked letter, Mark wrote that he was rational and blamed feminists for ruining his life. He said he was angry at feminists for seeking social change that retain the advantages of women while trying to grab those of men.
Yeah.
That's just not what feminism is. We just want the same as men.
But go ahead and tell yourself that if you really need to.
Yeah.
In order to try to justify your hateful,
bizarre,
whatever,
your rhetoric.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah. Beat it. Yeah. He referred to Dennis Lortie. Oh, so in this letter, he also referred to a man called Denis Lortie, and he is a Canadian Armed Forces corporal who killed 3 government employees and wounded 13 others in an armed attack on the National Assembly of Quebec on May 8th, 1984. Wow. So I already wrote that down for an episode idea.
Okay.
We are going to go more into that.
Okay.
The text of the original letter is in French, but there's an English translation available as well, and I have his statement right here. So the following is a translation of the suicide letter written by Mark on the day of the shooting.
Let's hear it.
Forgive the mistakes. I had 15 minutes to write this. See also annex. Please note that if I commit suicide today, 89/12/06, it is not for economic reasons, for I have waited until I exhausted all of my financial means, even refusing jobs, but for political reasons. Because I have decided to send the feminists who have always ruined my life to their maker. For 7 years, isn't that so annoying?
That's really annoying.
For 7 years, life has brought me no joy, and being totally blasé, I have decided to put an end to those viragos, which means viragos, a woman given to undue belligerence or ill manner at the slightest provocation.
Okay.
A woman who is scolding, domineering, or highly opinionated. Okay.
Wouldn't that be your fucking dad?
Yeah, his dad was very highly opinionated.
Like,
yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're just following
him.
in your father's footsteps. You hate your dad, but you're following in your father's footsteps, being a man who hates women.
Yeah, you were abused by your dad, hated by your dad,
but you hate women.
But you hate women.
Your mom went to work as a nurse full time to support the family, and you hate women. Love that.
What a brain! Like, what was his? Talk about someone who's been. Anyways, keep going if it's not over.
Oh, it's not. He then goes on to say, I tried in my youth to enter the forces as an officer cadet, which would have allowed me to possibly get into the arsenal and precede Lortie in a raid. So he's referring to Denis there, and how he wanted to also shoot up.
Yeah, like he was like a role model to him or something.
Yes, yeah. They were, and with most modern serial killers and stuff, or shooters, they do have role models. So this tracks.
Yeah, or copycat or like
yeah.
Want to be one of the greats or some shit.
Yeah. He goes on to say they refused me as I was asocial.
Not that they're great. Sorry, that's just like what they would tell themselves.
Yeah, that is what they would tell themselves. Yeah. So the Canadian Army refused him. I therefore had to wait until this day to execute my plans. In between, I continued my studies in a haphazard way, for they never really interested me, knowing in advance my fate, which did not prevent me from obtaining very good marks despite my theory of not handing in work and the lack of studying before exams. Even if the mad killer epithet will be attributed to me by the media, I consider myself a rational erudite that only the arrival of the Grim Reaper has forced to take extreme acts.
Okay.
It's very wordy.
Very wordy and very like, it sounds like his head is full of like
illusions of grandeur.
Thoughts and just like, feel like he's like a psychologist's dream.
Yeah. Yeah, let's delve into this guy.
Yeah.
For why persevere to exist if it is only to please the government? Being rather backward-looking by nature, except for science, the feminists have always enraged me.
Did he say except for science?
Yeah.
Okay.
They want to keep the advantages of women, example, cheaper insurance, extended maternity leave, preceded by preventative leave, while seizing for themselves those of men. How is a woman wanting maternity leave taking anything away from a man? Because likely there's going to be a man in a partnership with a woman who is going to need maternity leave.
Well, that, and it's like if you date back to like even biblical times that a lot of people live by, that's like how they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
The woman stays home to raise.
How is she going to stay home to raise if you're mad at maternity leave?
Yeah, and this was something created, like the ideology of like a woman staying home to like raise and be with the children. Not that that's how, I'm just saying like this was created by a fucking man back in the fucking day.
Yeah.
Oh, this just makes me fucking...
It's not how life is meant to be lived. Like, we're not meant to be working 9 to 5s. This is because of the patriarchy and capitalism.
Yeah, and it's like now there's men that stay home and they're looked at as weak.
That for them.
Yeah, I love that for them too. But
and
like
they're not weak.
No, but it's like...
It's frustrating.
Oh, it's
the societal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why, like, you never read the comments. You know.
Yeah, I sink into it. But this Mark, you like, buddy, you've got it all fucking wrong.
Yeah, he's got it all wrong.
but so right in his own head.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Because he was intellectually
like
smart, because he graded well on papers. He thought like he knew best, and that's not the case. Okay, I'll go on to finish it. There's one more paragraph. Thus, it is an obvious truth that if the Olympic Games removed the men-women distinction, there would be women only in the graceful events. So the feminists are not fighting to remove that barrier. He, like, what are you on about?
Yeah,
now you're
what are you
in your
on
suicide
about?
letter, you're talking about the Olympic Games.
Oh my God, enough of you. I hate him.
They're so opportunistic. They do not neglect to profit from the knowledge accumulated by men through the ages. What about all of like the scientific papers written by women that men took credit for? They always try to misrepresent them every time they can. Thus, the other day, I heard they were honoring the Canadian men and women who fought at the front line during the World Wars. How can you explain that, since women were not authorized to go to the front line?
Well, who do you want taking care? Like,
who are the nurses?
Who
then?
are the fucking nurses that I can't with this guy?
Yeah.
I'm going to lose it.
Will we hear of Caesar's female legions and female galley slaves, who of course took up 50% of the ranks of history, though they never existed? A real casus belli. Sorry for this too brief letter, Marc Le Pen. This letter is followed by a list of 19 names with a note at the bottom. They nearly died today. The lack of time, because I started too late, has allowed these radical feminists to survive.
You're radical.
Yeah.
I hate him.
I hate him.
Oh my God. I feel like
worst.
Tina on Bob's Burgers.
You're
She's just
radical.
like,
yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
My goodness. Mark.
Marcus.
Yeah.
So this massacre profoundly shocked Canadians. Government and criminal justice officials feared that extensive public discussion about the massacre would cause pain to the families and lead to more anti-feminist violence. So they were worried it was going to cause copycats.
Right. I mean, that's a legitimate fear. But
yeah.
I mean,
like, that's why they don't report on suicides.
I'm not even like, I don't pride I don't pride myself on being academically smart. Like, but even I like can listen to that and be like, what? Like, I'm scratching my head listening to this fucking whatever you want to call it, trying to reason with his way of thinking. Like, you're delusional. Like, even I can see that. Like, so I would hope that nobody would be like, I want to be like this guy.
Yeah,
His thoughts are
but it's not
on.
Sane people, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not sane people who idolize people like that.
Right. It's sick individuals.
And all we can do is get
sick.
those people education and resources and just like expose them to a bunch of things. You know, put them in a room with gay people and say, look, they're not going to do anything, you know?
It's like Fox News reporters.
Exposure. Oh,
I know. I won't.
If anybody's wondering, we also don't want to be the 51st state, and we'll happily. I'm down for.
I think Minnesota wants us to.
Yeah, Minnesota, New York. We'll take New York.
Yeah,
why not?
I would love to.
Imagine this gets clipped.
Oh my gosh! Well, like, go ahead. But I wasn't even gonna say it, but I'm like, you know, when it's like it's just I just said it. It's like word barf. Like, I hate Fox News.
But Doug Ford, Doug Ford, I mean, I'm not going to vote for him. I've never voted conservative. That's just not my jam. But Doug Ford's response, I love how I was actually listening to Canada Land today, which is a sick podcast. And I guess all the premiers got together to discuss. And they're going to strategically, like what they did last time Trump was in office, what we do is we strategically put tariffs on strategic things.
Yes.
So they're going to put tariffs on orange juice.
Right.
So that way Florida specifically has to deal with tariffs. And then we're going to, I forget why, but something in Kentucky. But the premiers specifically choose items that are going to not affect everyday Canadians. Yeah, they try and be strategic, but they also try and pick things that are going to hit Americans where it's harder.
I can appreciate that. I mean,
but they're all coming together, which I absolutely love.
I think laughter is one of the biggest forms of like embarrassment for the other person.
Yeah.
And I've seen clips of like Doug Ford laughing. Like, I was like,
I sir, am personally offended. It's like why?
Shut up. I can't.
Who cares?
Yeah. But that Fox News reporter, I'm not even going to give him the I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of saying his name.
I don't even know it.
I know it, but fuck him. like you're the same type of thinking as Mark. It's just you reek of it. And it's like there's plenty of men like that. Anyways, it's like a disease.
It is a
Kevin,
disease.
you're such a disease. Yeah.
Kevin. You're what the French call les incompetents.
Mm-hmm.
Government, already read that. As a result, they did not conduct a public inquiry and did not release Mark's suicide letter.
Okay.
Obviously, they eventually did because we have it now. Although an extensive police investigation into the perpetrator and the killings took place, the resulting report was not made. So they investigated but didn't report on anything.
Okay.
Which is a damn shame because that also takes away an opportunity to
yeah, why wouldn't you want to report on it? I would.
The coroner was authorized to have a copy as a source in her investigation.
Okay.
The media, academics, women's organizations, and family members of the victims protested the lack of a public inquiry and paucity of information released. So they wanted information and they wanted a public inquiry. Should I look up what a public inquiry is? Because I'm just not
Yes.
Sure. Public inquiries examine the facts underlying an issue or event, including any factors that may have caused or contributed to it, and provided recommendations to the government to improve the public policy. Okay. Did you get that?
Yes.
So yeah, you would think there would be a public inquiry, especially now knowing the definition. Yes, there should have been a public inquiry into that.
I would inquire.
The gender of the victims, as well as Mark's oral statements during the massacre and in the suicide note, have resulted in the attack being interpreted as anti-feminist and as an example of the wider issue of violence against women in Canadian society. Initially, politicians and the media downplayed the anti-feminism angle of the attack. Political leaders such as Robert Bourassa, who was a lawyer and politician and served as the 22nd Premier of Quebec from 1970 to 1976 and from 1985 to 1994. He's a member of the Liberal Party of Quebec, and he served just under 15 years as Premier. So he downplayed the anti-feminism angle, which of course you would because you're a man in politics.
Yes.
Another person who downplayed the angle was Claude Ryan. And next to his name was CCGOQ. CC means he is a part of the Order of Canada, and that is a Canadian national order and the second highest honor for merit in the system of orders, decorations, and medals of Canada after the Orders of Merit.
Wow.
Companion, so the CC stands for Companion. It is the most prestigious level recognizing a lifetime of outstanding achievement and merit, especially in service to Canada or humanity. The number of companions is limited to 180 at any given time. So he served Canada so much throughout his life that they gave him this, he's a part of the Order of Canada, and he's a companion, and there can only ever be 180 of them throughout Canada at any given time. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
GOQ is the National Order of Quebec, and it's an order of merit in Quebec.
Okay.
Claude Ryan was also a journalist and politician and director of newspaper Le Devoir from 1964 to 1978. He was leader of the Quebec Liberal Party from 1978 to 1982, National Assembly of Quebec member from 1979 to 1994,
wow, and
Minister of Education from 1985 to 1989. So it's all around disappointing that these men are like, no, it's not anti-feminist, it's just a tragedy.
Yeah.
And lastly, Jacques Parizeau. He is also a part of the National Order of Quebec. He's a politician and economist who served as the 26th Premier of Quebec from September 26th, my mom's birthday, 1994, to January 29th, 1996. So these three well-established, educated gentlemen spoke about victims and youth rather than women or girls.
Couldn't even give them the, decency of...
No, they can't.
And yeah, okay.
The television journalist...
Great role models.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you. The television journalist Barbara Frum, so she is also OC, Order of Canada. She is an officer in the Order of Canada, which recognizes a lifetime of achievement and merit of high degree, especially in service to Canada or humanity. She was an American-born Canadian radio and television journalist, acclaimed for her interviews for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Nice.
Barbara pleaded against interpreting the massacre as anti-feminist attack or solely violence against women, which is so disappointing. Barbara,
like, come on,
how much were you paid, Barbara, to
go against your own gender?
Yeah, or to, like, you know, tout that narrative.
Yeah.
Is tout a word?
Which is so obvious. Like, what do you fucking mean? Like, okay, so you guys are gonna look at this and say something about youth. Like, what men were targeted in this?
What men? And
like,
must be nice sitting in, you know, from your thrones.
Yeah, like you're not even gonna touch on the fact that it was women that he is quoted saying, I'm here to, or whatever, about feminists, and then the one engineering student was like, but we're not even like feminists. Like,
yeah, we're just engineering students.
Where are those quotes? Like,
or the list of 19 women that he was specifically targeting?
Exactly. Like, you're gonna be that like small-minded. Like, you're not even gonna give any thought to that.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to be hush about it? Like, you don't want it, you don't want anybody
that
talking?
Was the time that was that time though. It was like, don't like skirt it under the rug, just blah blah blah. You know, these people weren't in therapy.
I would be ashamed. If I looked back on this time, I would be ashamed of myself.
Yeah, you have to acknowledge what is happening.
My goodness.
Barbara Frum also asked why people were diminishing the tragedy by suggesting that it was an act against just one group.
I'm surprised there was no like not riots, but like uproar, being like, what are you fucking talking about? This is not
I'm sure there was.
Yeah, I hope there was.
As predicted by the shooter in the suicide letter, some observers believed the event was an isolated act of a madman.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but also
a psychiatrist interviewed Mark's family and friends and examined his writings as part of the police investigation, which is good.
Okay, that is good, yeah.
He noted that the perpetrator defined suicide as his primary motivation and that he chose a specific suicide method, namely killing oneself after killing others, which is called the multiple homicide suicide strategy.
Yeah.
Which is considered the sign of a personality disorder.
He's got something.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people have personality disorders and don't go around shooting up schools.
Something.
Yeah. Other psychiatrists emphasized the traumatic events of Mark's childhood, suggesting the blows he had received may have caused brain damage or that he was psychotic, having lost touch with reality as he tried to erase the memories of a brutal yet largely absent father while unconsciously identifying with a violent masculinity that dominated women.
I could see that. I mean, I feel like after traumatic accidents, people change sometimes and don't.
Brain injuries can totally.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost seems like this way of thinking is like just
deranged.
Yeah.
A different theory was that the shooter's childhood experiences of abuse led him to feel victimized as he faced losses and rejections later in life, which that tracks as well. His mother wondered whether her son might have suffered from an attachment disorder. An attachment disorder is a broad term intended to describe disorders of mood, behavior, and social relationships arising from unavailability of normal socializing care and attention from primary caregiving figures in early childhood.
Okay.
I'm going to start doing like another voice for definitions. Attachment disorder.
Do British.
Attachment disorder. No, yeah. I'm going to offend our British listeners.
Yeah, it's true. Well, not offend, but
yeah. They'll be like, that's bloody awful, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? It's Tuesday, isn't it?
You don't have 50 pesos just lying around. Pay for some bathrobe.
Yeah.
She thought if you don't know what we're talking about, you need to listen to all the episodes and you'll know.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
ASMR.
Stanley. Not sponsored.
Yeah.
Not
sponsor
yet.
us.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So Mark's mother thought due to the absence and sense of abandonment he had... Oh, okay. So due to the sense of Due to the absence and sense of abandonment Mark had experienced in his childhood, that is why she thought he had an attachment disorder. Others framed the killer's actions as a result of societal changes that led to increased poverty, powerlessness, individual isolation, and polarization between men and women. No.
No.
No. Noting the gunman's interest in action films, some suggested that violence in the media and society may have influenced his actions.
Maybe influence them more, but no. That's not the soul. No. Come on, everyone.
Following the shootings at Dawson College in September 2006, Globe and Mail columnist Jan Wong suggested that Mark may have felt alienated from Quebec society as he was a child of an immigrant.
No, well...
This provoked controversy because we have received numerous immigrants in the years since.
I just don't think that's it. But maybe... No. It's just... I don't think that's it.
No. In the years since... The attack has been widely acknowledged by the public, governments, and media as a misogynistic attack on women and on feminism. So we did learn.
Yes.
We did learn. Scholars believe that the gunman's actions sprang from widespread societal misogyny. Yes.
Yes.
Including tolerance of violence against women. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Criminologists regard the massacre as an example of hate or bias crime against women, as the victims were selected solely because of their membership in the category of women.
Yes. He certainly should have been diagnosed with something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like we're missing that huge part.
Yeah.
He had something. He was suffering from something.
Bipolar, maybe.
Yeah, but like...
I mean, who am I? Not to diagnose. Not to be an armchair.
I think he could have quite 100% have been diagnosed with something.
Yeah. They categorize it as a pseudo-community type of pseudo-commando murder science in which the perpetrator targets a specific group, often in a public place, and intends to die in a blaze of glory.
All right. Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah, that tracks.
Individuals close to the massacre also commented, Mark's mother wondered if the attack was symbolically directed at her, as some would have classified her as a feminist since she was a single working mother.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that tracks too. Survivor Natalie Provost, who during the attack denied being a feminist, later claimed what she said was this beautiful title for her. Later claimed what she said was this beautiful title for herself. So she was like, I'm not a feminist. And then later she was like, I am a feminist. Mm-hmm. She also claimed that she believed the massacre was clearly an anti-feminist act.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. The injured and witnesses among university staff and students suffered a variety of physical, social, existential, financial, and psychological consequences, including PTSD.
No doubt.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
At least 2 students died by suicide afterward.
Wow.
And left notes confirming that their deaths were due to distress caused by the massacre.
Now that is a shame.
It is a shame. Survivor's guilt is very real.
It's really sad.
9 years after the event, survivors reported still being affected by their experiences, though some of the effects had lessened.
I could only imagine like flashbacks, nightmares, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, PTSD, I guess. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Treatable?
Yes.
Now, yes.
Yes. EMDR is a good one.
Yeah, true.
Actions against violence against women. So this is the legacy this massacre left behind for actions that we sort of now take, or that actions that were taken to prevent or lessen violence against women.
Okay.
This massacre galvanized the Canadian women's movement, who immediately saw it as a symbol of violence against women.
That's great.
As it was.
Yeah.
The death of those young women would not be in vain, we promised. Canadian feminist Judy Rebick recalled, we would turn our mourning into organizing to put an end to male violence against women.
You know what?
So they channeled
Kudos to these women because
Boom.
they,
Love it.
It's like us listening and being like, okay, well, why are they being like, oh, well, like they're not touching on the fact of that it was women targeted. It was like, they're not speaking about that. And these women were like, you know what? We will bring light and voice. If you guys in the media won't, well, you will.
Yeah.
And good for them.
That's right. These badass women.
Badass.
In response to the killings, a House of Commons subcommittee on the status of women was created.
Nice.
Love that. It released a report called The War Against Women in June of 1991. It was not endorsed by the full standing committee.
Okay.
Following its recommendations, the federal government established the Canadian Panel on Violence Against Women in August of 1991.
Okay.
The panel issued a final report called Changing the Landscape, Ending Violence, and Achieving Equality in June 1993. The panel proposed a two-pronged national action plan consisting of an equality action plan and a zero-tolerance policy designed to increase women's equality and reduce violence against women through government policy.
Okay.
I don't think a zero-tolerance policy is currently enacted, but okay.
Right.
Critics of the panel said that the plan failed to provoke a workable timeline and strategy for implementation, and that with more than 400 recommendations, the final report was too diffuse to make an impact. So basically everything was too broad. So basically this did nothing.
Yeah.
It did nothing because they didn't, we love small achievable goals.
Right.
And they didn't have a concrete strategy for implementing any of the goals.
Right.
In Quebec, family members of the victims formed a foundation to support organizations combating violence, particularly violence against women.
Okay.
It has continued throughout all levels of society.
Nice. Yeah.
Survivors and their relatives have continued to speak out about the issue, and researchers increased their study of family violence and violence against women.
Right. That's good.
Really good. On December 6, 1995, the Quebec government adopted the Policy on Intervention in Conjugal Violence with the goal of detecting, preventing, and ending domestic violence.
We like that.
Now we're going to bop into gun control for just a little bit. But I do... Okay, so our buddy...
Oh, yeah.
has guns. So he listened to episode 1, which was cool. He liked it. I don't know that I listened to the rest of it, but I do feel like it is fair to sort of have a full, well-rounded discussion about...
We also made a mistake on the type of gun.
Yeah. So a Ruger is a...
Not semi-automatic, was it?
It's a rifle. It's a
okay.
long gun. It's a rifle. And so we know that.
Oh, why did it come up that other one then? That's weird.
Yeah, that was weird because we Googled it. But anyway, now you know, folks, Google's not always right. But there are some things that are misleading about our gun control laws, I would say. Just, not misleading, but just in comparison to the rest of the world.
Fair enough.
And with the wording that some of these anti-gun control advocates, whoever's for the gun control, our assault style weapons were actually banned from Canada in the 1970s. A gun owner in Canada.
Okay.
He said, there's a huge list of technical standards a firearm has to meet when it's inspected by the RCMP to become Canada legal, and not one of those specs is appearance. But all of the recent firearms bans were based on appearance, not... Right. So I'm actually just going to quote him. Okay. So this is firearms and assault rifle. An assault rifle... by definition, is fully automatic. Those were banned in Canada in the 70s. Now there's a big push to ban assault-style firearms, which are just firearms that appear to be similar to, but are not actually assault rifles.
Okay.
As well as high-capacity magazines, the rest of the world calls a 30-round magazine standard capacity because that's what they are. After École Polytechnique magazines in Canada are limited to 5 rounds instead of the standard 30, but that still doesn't make 30... high capacity.
Okay.
But that's what he has to say.
All right.
I am not,
I'm not a gun person. No, I'm not either.
The massacre was a major spur for the Canadian gun control movement. Less than a week after the event, 2 École Polytechnique professors created a petition addressed to the Canadian government demanding tighter gun control, and more than 500,000 signatures were collected.
Okay.
Heidi Rathjen, a student who was in one of the classrooms that Mark skipped, organized the Coalition for Gun Control with Wendy Coker to pressure for gun registry and increased firearm registration.
Okay.
Suzanne LaPlante Edward and Jim Edward, parents of one of the victims, were also deeply involved.
Yeah, I feel like if I was a parent,
you'd want to.
You'd want to try to be in the name of your child that was taken.
Absolutely. Their activities, along with others, led to the passage of Bill C-17 in 1992 and C-68, commonly known as the Firearms Act, in 1995, ushering in stricter gun control regulations.
Okay.
These new regulations included requirements on the training of gun owners, screening of firearm applicants, a 28-day waiting period on new applicants, rules concerning safe firearm and ammunition storage, the registration of all firearms, magazine capacity limits to 5 rounds for semi-automatic rifles, and 10 rounds for semi-automatic pistols, and reclassifying some additional firearms as restricted or prohibited. So they got a lot done.
Okay, that's great.
Right? In 2009, survivors of the massacre, their families, and Polytechnique students, past and present, came together to create Police Souvient.
I love that.
Which is a gun control advocacy organization. They created this in opposition to Stephen Harper's conservative government aimed at ending the registration of ordinary long guns. So Stephen Harper was like, no, you can just have your long guns. Nobody needs to know. I don't like that.
Ugh.
The long gun registry was abolished by the Harper government in April 2012, but the Quebec government won a temporary injunction preventing the destruction of the province's gun registry data and ordering the continued registration of long guns in Quebec. So Quebec just isn't fucking around when it comes to their gun control laws.
Yeah.
They're like, no.
Yeah.
In March of 2015, the Supreme Court of Canada ruled against Quebec, allowing the destruction of all federal registry data, although Quebec created its own provincial gun registry to replace it. So they were like, get rid of it. And Quebec was like, well, we created one provincially instead.
Yeah.
Since its creation, Police Souvient, with survivors Natalie Provost and Heidi Rathjen as spokespersons, has continued to be active in lobbying for stricter gun control and safety in Quebec and Canada. In 2018, Justin Trudeau's Liberal government introduced Bill C-71, which restored the requirement for sales of firearms to be registered, but Police Souvient denounced the proposed regulations as ineffective and incomplete.
Okay.
So so whatever Trudeau proposed, Police Souvient was like, not good enough, must be better.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on with it. In 2020, in the wake of the mass killing in Nova Scotia, and while also citing the École Polytechnique Massacre, Trudeau announced a ban on around 1,500 models of military-grade assault-style weapons, including the Ruger Mini 14 used for the killings in Montreal.
Okay.
So that gun wasn't even banned until 2020, that style of gun.
2020, yeah. I was like, feels like that was yesterday.
Yeah. Police Souvient welcomed the news, but critiqued the possibility of a grandfathering clause for the weapons as a danger to public safety. So there's a grandfathering clause where normally if you already own the weapon or somebody in your family owned it, you can keep it.
Okay.
On December 5th, 2024, one day before the anniversary of the massacre, the government of Canada announced they will be extending the previous 2020 military-grade assault-style weapons ban order in council with another order in council.
Okay.
This ban consists of 104 families of firearms. Who knew there were so many types of freaking guns?
It's overwhelming.
Encompassing 324 unique makes and models, all of them semi-automatic. There will also be a mandatory buyback program with an amnesty deadline expiring October 30th, 2025. Amnesty basically means a pardon.
Okay.
So if you own these assaults or these weapons that are a part of the buyback program, the government will buy them back from you. So you get your money back at the very least.
Okay. I mean, that's a good way to get people to
at least follow through.
Yeah, return them. They get a rebate, not rebate, but
and they'd be registered too. So theoretically, the police could just show up and say, "Hey, you registered your gun, but you haven't."
Yeah, you haven't returned it, or you
haven't let us buy it back yet.
Yeah.
The feminist movement has been criticized for appropriating the massacre as a symbol of male violence against women, which is annoying. In 1990, a journalist, Roche Cote, responded to the publication of Polytechnique 6 Décembre, a feminist memorial anthology, with an essay entitled Manifeste d'une Salaude, where he suggests that feminists use the massacre as a chance to unleash insanities, which is bizarre.
Bizarre.
Write something better. Be better. Stop writing about women. Men, stop writing about women. Write about yourselves.
Yeah.
Men's rights and anti-feminist commentators state that feminism has provoked violence against women and without explicitly condoning shootings, view the massacre as an extreme expression of men's frustrations.
It's not our fault you're like obsessed with us.
Not my fault you're like in love with me or something.
Oh, no, she did not. Oh, no, she didn't.
And I want my picture back. I want my picture back. Some anti-feminists see the killer as a hero, glorifying his actions and threatening violence.
That's nice.
Yeah. Blah, blah.
just out yourselves. Like, it just gives us a...
Tell me who you are. Male survivors of the massacre have been criticized for not intervening to stop the shooter, which, no, I would not criticize... any man, you are not expected to stop an active shooter. Thank you. I do not expect that of you.
Right.
Unless you are a trained professional in that scenario. Thank you. In an interview immediately after the event, a reporter asked one of the men why they abandoned the women when it was clear his targets were women.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, fucking rude. Like,
it is so clear. And it's insulting when you don't speak on that. Like,
yeah.
And you try to like pass it off in the media as something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the École Polytechnique Massacre.
Great
and all the
research, Smell.
all the fallout from it.
Great research.
And now we have another segment for current Canadian case.
Yeah, it's still ongoing, but this one happened a stone throw away from me, literally.
Like around the corner,
Like around the corner. So it happened in the fall of 2023, October to be exact. And he was almost 56 years old, so quite young. I always think that's young for a, an adult.
Yes.
So you like, I don't know, maybe he was going through some stuff, but like to throw your whole life away. Anyways, so this man was charged with first-degree murder, and it was after the discovery of a woman's body on a property, specifically down the well, like a water well, an old water well out in the back of like an orchard.
How'd they find her?
So I guess like a lady was walking her dog through the orchard, and the dog went up and sniffed at the well. And she was like, what are you sniffing at? Like, ooh, I'm always like, ooh, let's look down.
Yeah.
And she looked down, and sure enough, she saw like, I can't even imagine what she saw.
Just like a dead body.
A dead body.
Of a woman.
Yep. So then,
was she naked? I don't know why that's my first question.
Maybe it'll say, I want to say she wasn't.
Oh, okay, good.
But maybe she was. But I don't think.
Keep going.
Anyways,
it's
yeah.
Okay.
So she was discovered at the bottom of a well by a passerby, like walking their dog through an orchard, and this was at behind like a family farm market, which I have one of those too, and I just can't fathom this. So. The accused was identified as the ex-partner of the victim, the husband, highlighting the devastating impact of like domestic violence kind of thing. So they responded to the call, I think early, like maybe 9-10 in the morning, and then after a thorough search, even though I don't know why it would be thorough, it'd be like at the bottom of the well. Like, just look over here. That's where.
Yeah.
Anyways, after a thorough search, they located the body around lunchtime, and it was obvious that it was homicide. I guess, given the nature of everything that added up, it was homicide. And so then it was swarmed with popo. This case.
And then they had to they did the crime scene and all the forensic stuff.
Yeah.
And they figured it was. So how did they? Does it say anything about how they determined it was her partner?
Well,
sorry, and was this current partner or ex-partner?
Current partner. They have children, which
and then he threw her down a well. He killed her and threw her down a well.
Yeah, killed her, threw her down a well. Brutal. She was like a paramedic, well known in the area.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
another good one gone.
Yep,
So
hardworking, great mom. Earth. Yep.
Now those babies have to grow up without children.
Yeah,
I mean, without a mom. Wow.
Yeah, like the healthcare community was really affected by it, and the neighbors noted that the couple had recently listed their property for sale, so maybe there was financial ties. Maybe she was going to divorce him. Like maybe he was like, "Fuck you, you're like not gonna." This is all speculating. This is me speculating,
right?
But how do I go down here? But yeah, so. Okay. Anyways, it's still ongoing. He was charged with first-degree murder. And the kids just sold it. Like, whoever... I don't know how old the children were, but they sold the business. So now it's not going to be Peach Country. It's going to be... I don't know what it's going to be.
Oh, my God.
But... yeah, so it's still kind of ongoing, but he was charged with first-degree murder, and I'm pretty sure he's going to go down for... the trial might be... maybe it'll be this year. I don't know. I'll keep you posted. But, yeah, the police were, I mean, like, the media is, like, pressing the domestic violence issue. So
good, they should.
Yeah, so I don't really know the deep details on that, but I'm presuming that he was violent physically with her, maybe psychologically, maybe everything, but enough to kill her. Like, you gotta have escalated. You have to have, like, that is personal shit. And then I just think, like, to toss someone that you built a family with, kill them, murder them, and toss them down a well.
You procreated with this human.
Yeah, like, you made beautiful. Yeah, like, how much hate you must have really hated this person.
Yeah, to toss them down a well. And now
these poor children are gonna have to. I don't know. These poor children are going to go through
life without their mother.
Yeah, and psychological therapy that
PTSD.
Yeah. And like, what? I can imagine that it does something to someone that's like, if both their parents were loving towards you as a kid, and then out of nowhere, or maybe it was building up, there was nothing on it, but if it's in this circumstance that, like, the kids didn't see any, like, what's it called when it's like there were signs before it happened,
right?
Like, there was nothing really leading up to it, and then all of a sudden your mom's gone and your dad murdered her, and it's like, how
just like snapped.
The splitting feelings a kid would have, be like, I love my dad, but you murked my mom. Like,
like, what
does that do to a kid? Like, that'd be terrible.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's ongoing. This just happened
October 2023.
Over a year, over a year ago. But so it's kind of fresh, but kind of crazy that this happened, like, literally around the corner from me. Yeah,
like right around the corner from you. If you or someone you know is experiencing intimate partner violence, support is available. In Canada, you can reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or visit sheltersafe.ca to find resources and shelters near you.
So the husband was also remanded in custody following a bail hearing, and he was scheduled to appear in court, but I didn't hear in November, but I didn't hear anything more about that. And they're protecting the victims' like identities, aka the kids. And the wife had 24 years of service in the paramedic healthcare world.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
I'm sending so much love to that family.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it?
That is it.
Well, that's not it, but you know what I mean. We'll update further if we hear more about that. And thank you so much.
Sorry.
Okay, go.
The death occurred a week after Regional Council approved a motion by St. Catharines Council declaring intimate partner violence and gender-based violence an epidemic.
Wow.
As cases increase in Niagara and beyond. That's kind of weird.
That is kind of weird. And timely. Well, so yeah, please use that number. Or if you want to subtly tell someone who is in a domestic violence type situation, tell them to listen to this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here for you.
We're here for you. Call that number. Please don't die at the hands of your partner.
Please don't.
Please don't. We love you.
Yep.
So you can find us on Instagram at Canadian Creepies. You can send us an email at CanadianCreepiesPodcast@gmail.com. We are now available anywhere you can get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts.
Yep. And I'm not sure what next week brings, but we've got some ideas in the works.
We do. It's going to be fun. I have a good one actually lined up.
Yeah, nice. I'm excited.
Yeah. Get ready for, we're going to do, it's actually, has a little hint, has to do with a bank robbery.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So thanks for
listening.
Thanks for listening. Keep it weird. Stay creepy.
See you later, creepy gators.
Yeah, see you later, creepy gators. Thank you to Kyle McDonnell for editing and composing our theme song.